All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA playoff video. Today, we're going to talk about Wolves Warriors that happened on Wednesday. We're going to talk about Nuggets Thunder, and we're going to talk about Celtics Knicks and everything in between. But as always, we're going to talk about the bracket first, see where everybody is standing, see who's been eliminated, see who's on the cusp of elimination, and all that stuff. If you'd like what to say, like the video. If you have your own opinion, comment down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna try to get through this and give you guys as much detail as I can and talk about my thoughts and all that good stuff. Um, let's start with uh, Thunder Nuggets, just an overview, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty here in a second. Um, the Nuggets forced a game 7 back in Oklahoma. This series has been nuts. It's been so crazy. Um, the Nuggets are going into their first or second game 7, pardon me. Um, the first one was against the Clippers. I expect them to be very tired. I expect them to be very aware of the situation they're in. And if they do move on to face the Timberwolves, um, it's going to be rough for them. Let's talk about the Thunder for a second. This is going to be a real test for this very young Thunder team. Chet Holmgren, who's been a little underwhelming. Jalen Williams, who's been unimpressive throughout this series. And they're going to need Shea to have an all-time performance. This is going to be either a all-time game for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP hopeful, or a stinker. It remains to be seen. We'll see on May 18th. That is 2 days as of recording of this video. Let's talk about the other game on the other side of the Western Conference bracket. Timberwolves versus the Warriors. The Warriors lost their last game 110 to the Timberwolves 121. The Timberwolves move on to their second consecutive Western Conference Finals. Uh, the Timberwolves were the higher seed. It was a tough series for both teams. Never a tougher series for the Warriors coming out of a game 7, a 7-game series against the Rockets last series. Um, and as always, we are going to have to talk about what the future holds for the Warriors here. Or not we have to talk about the team that lost, because I think it's important to give some context to what this means for this team, especially this team. Um, Perhaps the oldest team left, definitely the oldest team left. Um, Man, oh man, where do I start? I guess we can start with the game. We can start with their last series against the Rockets. I said it when I was when in the moment when talking about the Rockets and Warriors series. The Warriors should have gotten that series done so much quicker. They played around too much. They fooled around too much. They just and it went to 7 games, and it kind of bit them in the ass because then Steph got hurt this series against the Wolves and was never able to get healthy. He was supposedly very optimistic. The whole team was optimistic about him playing in Game 6, and the team as a whole could not get a win without Steph Curry, and they fell to the Timberwolves. Um, a very competitive team in the Timberwolves. They have um, turned not turned it around, but they've kept the same momentum from last year into this year. And even Anthony Edwards had a quote when he said he wasn't satisfied with just making it back to the conference finals. So he's engaged. Julius Randle, Timberwolves forward, is playing some of the best basketball of his career. Um, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, doing everything they can for this franchise, whether it be small or big. And they're back in the conference finals, man. It's a congratulations to them. And let's talk about this game. We can talk about every game without Steph Curry, essentially, um, that the Warriors played. um, this team absolutely sucked. It absolutely sucked. Um, if we go back to, let's see here. If we go back to, yes, here's the game I was looking for. This is game three. This is game three when Jimmy Butler had 33 points. This is the Jimmy Butler that you wanted. This is what you were asking for when you traded for him mid-season, and they dropped this game. This was the turning point for this series. Was game three. They lost the game 102 to. Oh, they lost the game 97 to the Wolves 102. Um, this was the Jimmy Butler game. This is the game you would want to keep the series alive. Would have bought you extra time, and you didn't. The rest of the team didn't show up that game, and that was kind of the turning point. It was over for the team after that, because then you got a Jonathan Kuminga 23-point game in game. What is this? One, two, three, four. In game four, and then you got a Brandon Podziemski game. This game five, 28-point game for Brandon Podziemski. Um, when those guys are your leading scorers, that usually means you don't win the game. that usually means you don't win the game. Um, to talk about some other guys for the Warriors, Draymond Green, 10 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 turnovers, 4 personal fouls, made 1 3, took 11 shots, made 4 of them. Trace Jackson Davis, 2 points, 2 rebounds, and not much else. Jimmy Butler, I can't put this all on his shoulders. I think a lot of Warriors fans would put this on his shoulders as somebody who was known for taking teams from the dredges of series and dredges of regular season records to bringing them to conference finals, 2 finals appearances. And I think Jimmy Butler is just a year too old, a year or two too old. He's was he? He's 35 now. He's on the other side of 35, man. Like I said, game three in this series was the one that, oh, this is the Jimmy Butler game. We need to win this game, and they just didn't. They just threw their hands up and they lost the game. Buddy Hield with 8 points, could not get another performance after that electric one earlier in the postseason and earlier in this series. And Brandon Podziemski, 28 points, meant a whole lot of nothing. Really meant a whole lot of nothing. He was out there busting his ass, but um, 2 steals, 4 assists, 6 rebounds. He went out there and tried. I'll give him credit, but man, oh man, he's so inconsistent with his play. He's so inconsistent. Jonathan Kuminga came off the bench for this team in this game. 26 points, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, 3 of 9 from three, 11 for 23 overall from field goal. Man, oh man. We'll talk about Jonathan in a minute. We'll talk about Kuminga in a minute. Moses Moody, 12 points. Uh, there are so many thoughts I have about this game in particular in the series. Um, that's pretty much it for the stats. To get into my thoughts about this team and what the future holds for them. Um, this team really sucks without Steph Curry. I think everybody knew that, but to actually see it was like jarring. Was like, wow, none of these guys know how to play basketball. To start at the top, I've already excused Jimmy Butler. He might be a year or two too old. Might not be able to do what he did for the Heat in those 2 finals runs they made. One in the bubble and one against the Nuggets. He just might not be able to do that anymore. And I can't blame him at 35. Um, the real guy that everybody's mad at, besides Steve Kerr, is Draymond Green. Draymond Green looked so ineffective out there without Steph Curry. He looked, I want to say lost. I'm going to say bewildered. He looked bewildered. He looked like somebody took the training wheels off his bike and didn't tell him. Like he could still kind of ride the bike, but it was just like he was wiggling and wobbling everywhere, and he looked bad. He looked really bad, and I think how old's Draymond Green? 35 as well. Um, this is the conversation that comes up all the time. Every year the Warriors don't win a championship, everybody's like, "Oh, Draymond Green sucks. Draymond Green sucks." The it's been the what do you call it? Let's say the mantra, the vibe. Every time they don't win a championship, it's like, "Oh, Draymond Green sucks." this game encapsulated why he sucks. I'll say that. This encapsulated why he sucks. Um, I, I don't know what you do with him. Um, this team really wants to compete for a championship. That's everybody's mindset. Steve Kerr said in his I it might have been in his post game or his end of season um, interview presser, but he said this was sort of a window for them. They saw themselves going all the way and they could have done it. And the Steph Curry injury was just sort of a huge uh, wrench thrown in the machine, and they could never get out of it. I don't think any version of this Warriors team post Kevin Durant could have gotten out of that situation. Health is key, man. Health is key, and I think it's finally gotten to the point where everybody's tired of Draymond's antics. Everybody's tired of like him not bringing anything, him really not wanting to play if Steph Curry's not playing, and I can't blame him. If I was paired with the greatest shooter of all time and he's out for 3 4 games, I wouldn't want to play either. But there's a lot of questions about Draymond Green. The other question is about Jonathan Kuminga, who's a restricted free agent this offseason, who I don't think the Warriors will match any deal that is thrown at him. I think they'll just let him walk. I don't think they want him. I don't think Steve Kerr is infatuated with the idea of keeping this young athletic wing because for being a young athletic wing, he looks so bad sometimes. He just gets tunnel vision. He just says, "Oh, I'm gonna do my own thing," and like, not a lot of people on this team have plays drawn for them. We'll make that very clear. Jimmy Butler has some plays. Steph Curry has some plays. Draymond Green has some handoff action, some give and go action. But everybody has to get it. Everybody else has to get it in between those three guys, right? Jonathan Kuminga, even before they got Jimmy Butler, even when it was just the big three, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, he would just have to get in where he fit in. And he's become so disillusioned with the fact that he needs to be a role player. I don't think Jonathan Kuminga will be anything but a role player in this league. I think he can be um, like a Lou Zangdor, a Alex Caruso, um, a Derek White, a Drew Holiday sort of player on a really good championship team. I know those guys are all guards, but you catch my drift. A good defender that plays defense, and shoots a couple threes and gets in the lane and does all this stuff. And he's just so like Jonathan Kuminga is in his own world at times. And there was a report that came out that um, Steve Kerr benched him because he looked off Steph Curry one too many times, and he would just go to the cup with no plan. And sometimes when Jonathan Kuminga does that, it works out. But about maybe 75 to 80% of the time, it doesn't work out. So he's not going to be on this team next year. My biggest question for this team, or for Steve Kerr in this series, is why Moses Moody didn't play more. Moses Moody is the ideal guy to guard a player like Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves, and he barely got any play. I think he started one game this series, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe one game. Game logs here. Let's go. Um, maybe Jesus, freaking out of my way, Jesus. Um, did he start this game? It doesn't even tell me if he started any of these games. He didn't play more than 20 minutes. Let's put it that way. When Moses Moody is one of the ideal guys to guard Anthony Edwards, 6'5", 211. If we go look at um, Anthony Edwards, 6'4", 225, has a couple more pounds on Moses Moody, but Moses Moody has that long wingspan. He moves his feet. I don't know why I didn't play in this series more. Um, and to talk about the Timberwolves real quick, they've been on a roll. This game, this was the game where they've done it twice now, where they kind of played around with their food, and other times they've really put their foot on the gas. And this game they put their foot on the gas. 29 for Julius Randle, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. Jaden McDaniels 14, 4 steals. Those were all four of those steals were just backbreaking for the Warriors. 17 points for Rudy Gobert, 8 rebounds. Mike Conley 16 points, made 4 threes out of the 6 he took, and Anthony Edwards 22, 8 of 15, 5 of 9 from three. It wasn't his prettiest game, but he showed up when he needed to. He had a career high in assists, well, a career high in the postseason with 12 assists, and they got a Dante DiVincenzo game, 13 points off the bench. Yeah. Swing back to the Warriors real quick. The real question is what do you do with this team? You have a lot of money invested in this team. At the top, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler. Where do you go from here? What do you pivot to? There've already been rumors of the Warriors getting Brook Lopez from the Milwaukee Bucks. He's a free agent this year, this offseason. I don't know. I I genuinely don't know what this team needs. It needs an injection of life. It needs a full season together. Actually, that's what they really need. But other than that, I think, man, you're in a real pickle here because you're gonna keep recycling these sort of guys, these Guy Santoses, these Gary Payton, who's a free agent, Moses Moody, um, Buddy Hields, Brandon Podzimski's. Like, it's gonna be a rotating door until I think next year's the last year of everybody's deal of Draymond's, of Steph's, of Jimmy's. So it's gonna be one last go around, and then they're gonna the next season. This next, not this off season, the next one after that's gonna be the real question for everybody. But I think they can throw another good team together. How good? I don't know, but I think the Jimmy Butler thing was a saving grace in the middle of the season, but it also threw everything off because you have all this turmoil with Jonathan Kuminga. The roster's kind of built funky because you didn't think you would need Jimmy Butler, and you really did. And now you have too many forwards. You have too many guys who you have so many minutes in a game, but you have too many guys, and it became a mess. And then you had no guard play outside of Buddy Hield, who wasn't effective too much. Brandon Podzimski, who was too inefficient. Moses Moody, who's more defense than offense right now, and then Gary Payton, who's all defense. So you really didn't have any other guard offense consistently. So that's it. That's my thoughts on that game. That took a long time to get through that. um, let's talk about Game 6, Oklahoma versus Denver in Denver. What a game! Um, this is the first time this Thunder team looked. They showed their age. They really showed their age, and the Denver Nuggets showed why they're champions. To give you some stats for the Denver Nuggets, man. Um, Christian Braun 23, Dejounte Murray 25. Um, Christian Braun also had 11 assists. Nikola Jokic, stunner of a game. 29 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. That's the kind of game you want from him. Michael Porter 10 points, still dealing with that shoulder. Aaron Gordon 5 points, 1 steal, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Um, this game was really, and this was the Julian Strawther game as well. 15 points for him. Had not played the whole series. 15 points, 2 rebounds. Made 3 of his 4 threes. Really crucial game for the Denver Nuggets, and really impressive game for Julian Strawther. He might get some real burn next game as well in Game 7. The real story of this game was partly how good the Nuggets played, but how bad this Oklahoma City Thunder team looked. It looked bad. Um, and not bad in the sense of like, oh, they got blown out. They just looked like sloppy, like Chet Holmgren with 19 and 11. Took 7 threes, made 2 of them. 8 of 14 from field goal. I I, I need more from Chet Holmgren, especially if the number 2 in Jalen Williams is only giving you 6 points and 10 assists in a closeout game where you could send these guys home. 3 of 16 overall from field goal. Took 4 threes, did not make any of them. Jalen Williams. When that stuff happens, it just can't be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, especially in the playoffs. Chet Holmgren needs to go out there and be better. I'm gonna need like 29 and 15 rebounds. You get 29, you get 15 rebounds, you win this game. I know that's very like hyperbolic and very like, oh, if you just do the numbers, but if he has 20, if he has 29, that means Jokic has whatever, you know. You know who wasn't guarding Jokic? Chad Holmgren. That's the Isaiah Hartenstein assignment. You know, like it's give and take. Speaking of Isaiah Hartenstein, 8 points, 6 rebounds, no blocks, no steals, 4 fouls. He was in. This was a bad game for him by defensive standards. Losing Dort 10 points, 1 steal, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. I didn't shoot the ball well. Very underwhelming game for him. Um, and Shai Alexander, the MVP candidate, 32 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and not a very fun game of his to watch. He gets to the line, he does all this stuff. It was very, very obvious this game that he was flopping more than usual. Obviously, trying to get his team back into the game. He took 11 free throws, made 8 of them. He took the most free throws, second most free throws next to Nikola Jokic. So they did call it pretty fair for both MVP candidates, but man, it just can't be Shea doing this by himself. I mean, you got Alex Caruso 10 points, you got Kason Wallace 10 points, but nobody else really came to play on this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And with that being said, I don't usually preview games, but it's a game 7, so I feel like I have to. Um, I think I think the Nuggets have a chance to do this. I think the Nuggets have a chance. I think they genuinely have a chance to send this young team home. Um, if this, if Chet and Jalen Williams can't get it going, and the Nuggets, this Nuggets team has the exact same game, um, that it might be over. The Oklahoma City might begin bounced in the second round. Um, my was it my predictions haven't been the best recently. They haven't been the best. I said the Knicks would send the Celtics home, and they didn't. But I have a better feeling about this because the Nuggets are the team in the what do you call it the premier conference. They've been in Game Sevens. This is going to be um, Shai Alexander's only second Game 7. His last Game 7 was 2020 in the bubble. Um, so who knows how he's going to perform. They call these games tight, man. You might not get these foul calls. I don't know. But give me the Nuggets. I'm going to take the Nuggets. Why not? And before we get into this last game here, Knicks versus Boston, where Boston um, stood stood firm at home. I do want to say the WNBA season is coming up. I did a preview video right before this one. If you want to check that out, I am recording this Friday, so that you might know who won this Knicks. You will know who won this Knicks Celtics game. Um, and I'm just gonna talk about the game that happened and preview Game 7 a little bit. But if you want to check out my WNBA content, I'll put a card in the top right corner. Just click it. It will talk about tonight's game, Friday night games, um, and it will talk about Saturday's games at 1 o'clock, opening day for the WNBA. So if you want to check that out, please check it out. Um, it's good stuff, I promise. If you like the NBA, I know some people are skeptical about the WNBA. It's going to be a great year this year. Check it out. Thank you. Moving on to this Knicks Celtics game. Like I said, the Celtics won this game 127 to the Knicks 102. Um, this was really just about the Celtics um, taking home court. They um, they stood firm at home after the devastating Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum injury. Um, Everybody came to play this game. The only person who didn't come to play and who hasn't come to play is Kristaps Porzingis. He's been dealing with some respiratory um, illness. From what I've been hearing, it might be ammonia. Um, could be something else that I'm not allowed to say on YouTube. You know what I'm talking about, the long term blank. Um, I don't know. We'll probably never know. but he has looked like absolute trash. Hey, he's sick. I can't be mad at him. He's out there trying to play. He played 12 minutes. Didn't play well at all, but he suited up. Um, the other starters for this team: Al Horford, 12 points, um, one block, two assists, five rebounds. Drew Holiday, 14 points, three assists, five personal fouls. But he's looking more like himself, with more attempts, more looks, looking really good. Sort of looking like Bucks Drew Holiday a little, just a little bit, but really good stuff. Jaylen Brown coming up big, 26 points, 12 assists. I believe that's also a postseason career high for him in assists. Um, took five threes, made three of them. And the man of the night, the guy who I've been singing his praises about for a minute now in this series because I think he's been so good this series. Derek White, in 40 minutes, he had 34 points, three rebounds, two assists, three blocks. Took 13 threes, made seven of them. He was on fire, and he was 9 of 16 overall from field goal. This was the Derek White game. Somebody had to step up. Everybody thought it was going to be Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown did have a good game, but Derek White just took him far and away from the Knicks and didn't give him a chance to crawl back in this game like the Knicks have been doing in this series, crawling back into the games in the fourth quarter. Absolutely blew the doors off of them. A couple other guys off the bench for the uh, the Celtics. Peyton Pritchard, 17 points, took 14 threes, made five of them. And Luke Cornett um, also had a huge game. 10 points, seven blocks. Every one of those blocks was so important. It helped them grow the lead. Um, I would not be surprised maybe if he starts next game over Porzingis. I would not be surprised. But I think um, the Celtics really pushed the Knicks buttons, and they're going to go to game six. They're going to try to close it out in the Garden, or they're going to try to tie it in the Garden. The Knicks are going to try to close it out in the Garden. Um, I saw a funny thing somewhere where it was like, "Don't let the Celtics get one more." This was the one more, and I'm not trying to drink the Kool Aid. I think the Knicks are going to win. I'm still going to have them as my pick to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. But man, if this is the Celtics team you get for the next two games, the Knicks are in trouble. They are in trouble. Um, Switching gears to the Knicks for this game, um, just a pretty okay game from everybody. Nobody really did anything wrong except they couldn't stop Derek White. They couldn't stop Derek White. Um, Miles Bridges 9 points, one steal, three assists, two rebounds. OG Anunoby 6 points, 8 rebounds, two assists. I do have to keep it consistent with my criticism of Chet Holmgren. Um, I have to bring it to this series as well. I'm gonna need a little bit more from OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges because when they get going, it's literally a flipped score. The Knicks would have scored 127 and the Celtics would have scored 102. You know, these guys need a little bit more. I think they'll give you a little bit more at home. Role players always play good at home, or supposed to play good at home, but we'll see. Currently, Towns showing up with 19 points, 1 of 3 from three, 5 of 11 overall from field goal, 8 rebounds. Solid stuff. I can't be too mad. I think it's so hard to be aggressive in these games when it's not your assignment. Like Karl Anthony Towns isn't out there guarding Derek White. He's out there guarding Al Horford. He's out there guarding Luke Cornett, who really don't get offensive looks. So you kind of have to just give it all on offense. And he tried. He had some pretty good numbers, but I'm gonna need a little more. I'm gonna need a little more. If Karl Anthony Towns is gonna be out there when old ass Al Horford and okay Luke Cornett is out there, I'm gonna need Karl to do a little bit more, just a little bit more. Um, Jalen Brunson, 22 points, 6 assists, one rebound. Okay game by his standards, nothing crazy. And the leading scorer for the team, this was the Josh Hart game. 24 points, 7 rebounds, um, two assists. Pretty okay stuff. I mean, like, I have nothing bad to say about the Knicks game. This has just been a back and forth series, and the Knicks need to close it out in this next game. But it, it's going to take a full team effort. Who else played well? Miles McBride with 11 and Mitchell Robinson with 8. Mitchell Robinson, shout outs, been making his free throws recently. Making his free throws. I gotta give my hats off to him. I'm a very unoptimistic Mitchell Robinson guy. I'm not a big fan of Mitchell Robinson, but he's been playing well. Give him credit. And yeah, that's the video. That's it. It's over. Right at 30 minutes. Perfect. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment them down below, and all that good stuff. Like the video. Like I said, WNBA stuff. There's gonna be a mix of both videos or both kinds of videos coming up here. I am fully committed to the NBA playoffs, and then when that concludes, we'll get to more WNBA stuff. But if you want to check out my WNBA stuff too, that'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, we're gonna next time I talk to you guys, we're gonna we're gonna know the conference finals matchups, right? Right, yeah. We're gonna know. We're gonna know. We're gonna know. The Knicks are gonna win. Um, oh, they might have already won, and I'm talking to myself. Um, you guys know I don't. This video is going up a little bit later, so we'll know who's in the conference finals. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.